I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, pets of all ages. Welcome back to the best betting show on Twitter and social media. Total Apex Media presents today's betting show. We're going to be going over the NBA slate for tonight. I'm super excited. Got my main man Brandon here. Brandon, how are you feeling about this slate, and how are you feeling overall? I see you're in your Eagles gear, so I know you are crazy excited.
So, first off, I want to say thank you for having me back on the NBA betting show on Total Apex Media. Coming off this Eagles Super Bowl 59 victory, I am stoked, ready for this last full slate before NBA All-Star Weekend. And I just want to say, let's get into it.
So you say let's get into it, so let's dive into it. So the first game on ESPN, the San Antonio Spurs, they're 8.5-point favorites on the road against the defending NBA champs, Boston Celtics, with Boston being as dominant as they have been in previous regular seasons and all the way up to this point in the season. I think they're only behind the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. Do you see Victor Wembanyama, who's been on a tear as of late, do you see him potentially pulling off this upset in Boston?
If De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, that duo gets going, it's possible especially without the potentially Boston being without the Robin, Jaylen Brown. That I could see it. If Jaylen Brown does not play in this game, I could see San Antonio maybe shocking the world tonight and pulling off this massive upset. But I think Tatum is going to be kind of motivated playing Wemby again. And I think Tatum's going to have a big night tonight, and I think Boston will win. I think the Spurs cover, but I think Boston wins the game.
I'm right there. I am right there with you. I think 8.5 is too much for a team that Boston's without Drew Holiday. They're potentially without Jaylen Brown, who is questionable with that knee injury. From a fantasy perspective, is there anyone that you like for just this game specifically on either side?
For me, I think if Stephon Castle gets going, I like him. I like him a lot. And also for me, I think Peyton Pritchard is going to have a key night off the bench for the Celtics without Drew Holiday. I think Peyton Pritchard is going to be one of the difference makers at around that 5K, 6K mark that our host or our CEO Dusty likes to shout out every time. So.
Right. Now, to go on to, because once again we got a full slate. We don't want to hold the people up for too long. So let's dive into the second game. The Hornets, big underdogs on the road against the Orlando Magic. They're coming in at a plus 12.5. With the Magic being such a overwhelming favorite, this has been a team that's been up and down all season long. We saw them suffer key injuries to Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner for the majority of the season, and now with Jalen Suggs potentially, he's been doubtful for almost every game for the past week and a half. However, he's slowly getting back. How do you see this game going on, and do we see another Paulo Banchero big night like he had the other night?
So Paulo Banchero will have a big night. And the Magic should cover because look at this injury report for the Hornets, okay? LaMelo Ball out. Miller's been out all year with that wrist. Mark Williams, that we saw that deal get reneged from the Lakers, and he's not with the team. Diabate questionable. So basically, Okogie also out too for the Hornets. Grant Williams also out. The Hornets are just depleted when you look at it. The only real notable player is Miles Bridges. Playing for them tonight. So the Magic should cover in this game. I think they will cover in this game, and I think Paulo Banchero will have another big night like the other night.
I was gonna say, now I say, big night like the other night. I mean, when you look at just his last game, against Atlanta, he was kind of just nip and tuck through the first half. He was kind of bad, and then he exploded in the third quarter alone for 20 points and 5 rebounds and made 4 of his 6 threes. He's been such a fun player to watch, especially coming back from his oblique. We saw him have an up and down season. Up and down, road to recovery since coming back. Is there a sneaky player for the Magic that could see his minutes extended from a fantasy perspective that you're looking at?
Anthony Black and Cole Anthony with the quad issue for Suggs still an issue. I think those two are going to get some significant minutes. Look for KCP to also have a bigger role in tonight's game too.
It's always great when you see it's not great when you see injuries, but it's great when a player might be out for an extended period of time, and then you see younger players get those opportunities, like an Anthony Black, like you said, or those kind of role players that their roles get extended, like KCP, because KCP has been 3-and-D for the majority of his career. Now, let's dive into the Indiana Pacers, who lost last night, and I don't know how they lost last night. When you look at the box score, like Jalen Brunson didn't really do anything, but then you see the pair of Josh Hart go off for 30 and Karl Anthony Towns go off for 40. Both of those had 30 and 40-point double-doubles in the rebounding stat. Now, Wizards are double-digit favorites. I should say underdogs at home, being 10-point dogs at home. Do you see Indiana bouncing back in this spot on the road?
They should bounce back against this, probably the worst team in the league right now, Washington team. They're a young team. I like what they're building there in Washington with the pieces, but so far, and Jordan Poole's been good, kind of have a bounce back year for him. But Indiana should, even without Miles Turner, who I heard on the broadcast tonight, he's had some cervical stuff going on with him. So hopefully he recovers soon after this All-Star break. But the Pacers should bounce back heading into the weekend on a better foot. At 440 favorite, 10 plus 10 minus 10 favorite. I think they'll cover, but you never know with Indiana. You never know what Indiana team's going to show up. So the 10 might be a little too high, but I'm still going to ride with it.
Do you think that Tyrese Halliburton, who's been one of the more inconsistent players in the NBA all season long, do you think that, this is a kind of coming out party? Because we've seen, there's home Tyrese Halliburton and on the road Tyrese.
That's the thing. I don't know what Tyrese we're going to get. I think the game's in DC. So it is one of those games where it could be like road Tyrese, but I think the Wizards are not that great of a team, so we should see a better game for Tyrese Halliburton tonight.
Yeah. Now, to shout out some people in the chat, I see our man Jordan. He loves your Peyton Pritchard. If you've tuned in the past, we've won some people some money going off of and even just right there, kid's a beast. He's awesome. He's just coming off the bench. I mean, we saw our girl Kat have a little bit of a sound issue, but we're back now. To go into the next game, we have the Sixers going against the Nets. Now, in terms of why is it only a 3-point spread? Joel Embiid, who was dominant last game, had the crucial turnover in the loss to the Toronto Raptors just last night, as they lost 106-103. They're going against a Brooklyn Nets team that is kind of on a hot streak. They've won 5 of their last 6, and the Sixers they're dying for a win. How key is this game to just get the psyche or confidence back for Philly, Brandon?
They need it. They honestly need it. I tell you this right now, Maxey had his worst game of the year last night. I don't think he will have that bad of a game for a while. That was the crazy part. I was looking at my fantasy app last night because I have him in my redraft league. He only had like 14 points fantasy. Like I was like, why is Maxey struggling? I was looking at he had like a bad first half, like terrible first half.
Right.
And I was like, really? They come out that flat after a Super Bowl win at home too? Like they're back at home. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl.
Maybe they were out partying too much.
I guess so, man. Yeah. I guess so. They came out flat. I think tonight on the road in Brooklyn, the Sixers, this is a good right spot for Philly. I think they'll come back. I like what the Nets are doing. They're trying to rebuild the young nucleus and stuff like that. I think the Nets are trying to get their draft pick worse. I don't know. Right. I think this is a good bounce back opportunities for Philly, and I like them to cover the 3 spread. I think the game will be down to 5. I think 5. I think it'll be a 5-point game tonight.
Do you still feel that way even though Joel Embiid was ruled out earlier, and now we've seen him because after the game last night he said he didn't know if he was going to play tonight, and he was ruled
Mhm.
out just a few hours ago. We've
Okay.
seen Joel Embiid suffer knee injuries and all kinds of stuff like that that has limited him from playing back-to-backs. Now I thought there's a chance considering after what he said last game. Do
Yeah.
you still like that even with Joel Embiid being out?
I do, because I feel like this Sixers team at times played better without Embiid. Like this iteration, the 2024-25 Sixers team with this iteration plays better without Joel Embiid in my eyes, because I think they're more Maxey has a lot more room at times without Embiid on the court to get to the hole and find an open shooter at times. I do also with this in mind too, with PG probably still kind of getting his feet under him too from his injuries. That's probably also has cost him the last couple weeks or last couple games, especially the Milwaukee game the other day on Sunday, the Super Bowl Sunday, and the game last night. This Sixers, they're the most puzzling team this year to me, because you would think, all right, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Oubre, Yabusele off the bench. They got some interesting pieces and to make a run in the Eastern Conference. It's just one of those teams this year that's been like one of the most puzzling, disappointing, whatever word you want to use with the Sixers. And like I said, it's a 5-point game to me. I think this is a 5-point game. I don't think it's going to be a Sixers blowout. I don't think the Nets will win the game. I like them to keep it close. I think 5 is just the right spot for me.
Now, with this being two bad teams, now with Philly being, they're I think 11th in the East, and I think they're 20-33 on the season.
Yep.
Is there a player for the Sixers that you could see having a big night fantasy wise, or for the Nets also? If you're like Lawson, there's this player on the Nets that could have a nice night, like a D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah. For me, if I was going to say Cam Thomas, if he wasn't out with his hamstring still.
Yeah, he's been out for almost 2.5 months with that hammy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cameron Johnson, I always liked them in Phoenix back in the day. I like him in fantasy a lot of the times too, because he's that 3-and-D, perfect 3-and-D guy that can get a lot of stats as well. But for the Sixers, obviously Maxey's going to bounce back. I like Yabusele a lot in this game, especially in the extended role that he's probably going to play with Joel Embiid ruled out, like you said. Oubre, I like Oubre in that 5-6K range as well for the Sixers.
Now, to go into a very fun and interesting game, when you talk about Atlanta in New York, everyone's public enemy number one, Trae Young. We know what he does at MSG. He's just one of those. If you're a New York Knicks fan, you love to hate him. You have disliked this man for so long, ever since he was taking a bow at MSG on the Knicks logo, eliminated him from the playoffs, years back, and just it seems as if this is a big time game, and Trae Young always seems to step up in this specific big time game. I don't know if he just loves playing the Knicks or it's a matchup thing. How do you see this game, going out?
You know what? We like to be bold around here at Total Apex Media. We do.
Right. Give us your hot takes. If you're in the chat, give it to us. We love seeing it. As real quick, as I guess I missed it, Pacers are beating down on an irrelevant team. It's the Wizards. They got Jordan Poole. They're fun to a certain extent, but to get back on the Hawks and the Knicks. The Hawks being 8.5 point underdogs. Give me how you think this game unfolds.
My bold take of the day: Hawks money line.
What can you get them at straight up? What are those odds look like on I was about to say underdog. What can you get them on DraftKings?
I'm probably gonna.
You know what?
Yeah,
look at my unprofessional. Let's look at these odds right now. If you were to take the Hawks straight up, they're plus 260.
Yeah.
That is for someone who can light up the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Like Trae Young can, especially at MSG.
Yeah.
We know he's a walking double-double.
Yeah.
And a borderline 30-point double-double with assists. Yep. So let me hear your reasoning behind it, because now I'm intrigued.
So my Hawks money line pick. the
Right.
bold sleeper pick is because of what we've been talking about. Trae Young tonight is going to be so motivated to go into NSG once again. And I could see this as a letdown game for the Knicks after last night. Cat having 40 and Hart having 30. I could see this being that letdown spot, even in going into All-Star weekend, right?
Mm.
It's like one of those games. This is their last game before All-Star weekend. Now, we got some games tomorrow, but I don't think the Knicks are playing tomorrow night.
Mm.
But this is their last game as a team. They probably just want to get the All-Star weekend at this point. Go, like, and a couple of the players going to San Francisco and, participate in the festivities. Trae Young wants to send a message to the league that he should have been in this All-Star game, which
now
he's a reserve. He's a reserve, but he probably should be one of the starters.
Right. I was just about to say with Giannis being out, they did say, Trae Young, you can get the nod. But I get what you're saying, and I felt the exact same way too, especially over the past couple years. He is a walking 20 and 10 on any given night. And on his best nights, we've seen him go out for, we've seen, 20 games, and we've seen 30 and 15 games, and he's a really fun player to watch. Now, does the Larry Nance injury, because he's been ruled out for this game, do you think that hurts Atlanta, especially with their second unit? Because when you move off a player like a DeAndre Hunter, and then Jalen Johnson had that season-ending shoulder injury a couple weeks ago, do you think that the Larry Nance injury is a issue in this game for that Hawks second unit?
Yes, it is an issue, and that's why I said my bold pick of the day, because it's a bold play. It's a bold play. At 260, you'll get, it's good money opportunity if you want to be bold. And
do you dare to be bold? I think that's the saying somewhere for some company. Yeah, dare to be bold. Yeah,
dare to be bold. And I like it's an interesting play because like Trae Young, MSG always pulls off one of those shockers. You never know what's going to happen. But the Larry Nance injury, like you said, provides some issue with their depth, especially getting rid of DeAndre Hunter. RJ Hunter. What am I thinking? Speaking of
right, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, but so DeAndre Hunter and the Jalen Johnson injury, it's one of those situations where they don't have depth at the wing spot, and this is a game where I could see Josh Hart again not doing 30, but a good 20 and 7 and 6 kind of game for
the
Josh
Hawks
Hart.
still pull off this upset, is what you're saying.
I like the Hawks.
You dip your toes in the water, you might as well go all 10 deep.
I'm going in 10 deep.
Love it.
I
love it.
In with it. I'm going in.
I love it. Is there a player in particular that you like on either side, or are you just, this is a Josh Hart game, or if you want to spend more of your salary cap for your daily fantasy sports, that you're just dive into Trae Young? I don't care what it is.
Let's see. Dive into Trae Young if you want to spend that money.
Right.
Dive into Brunson. I think will match. I think he'll bounce back because he had a subpar game last night. I think Brunson bounces back. Mm-hmm. I do like the Josh Hart play, like you said. Josh Hart is a great play always in fantasy, regardless that he doesn't get the numbers at times, like the third this main scoring numbers. He builds the stat sheet other ways enough to get you that that 25, 30 point threshold that you need in fantasy to win these DFS lineups. So Josh Hart is always at play. Like no matter where you're at, like he's gonna
fill it up. Yeah, I gotcha. Now we are officially 1/3 of the way through the NBA slate. I think it's a great time to have some station identification to let everybody know out there. We're not just sports. We do gaming, entertainment, bets, sports bets, and sports just in general. So we're gonna take a 30-second break, and we will see you guys after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to everyone's favorite betting show on social media, your Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all of it. So Now that we are officially 1/3, that means the show must go on, and we're back from commercial. Let's dive into what should be, we don't need to spend a crazy amount of time on this. The Raptors, they're getting RJ Barrett back tonight, but they're still without Jakob Poeltl and a Cavs team that has been one of, if not the best teams in the NBA up to this point in the season. Brandon, do you just see a shellacking in this game?
Yes. That's all. That's what you need to say. Yes. The 13,
right.
The 13.5 is a little bit too low of a spread, I think.
Wow. So would you consider this is going to be like a borderline what Detroit did to the Bulls last night?
Borderline Detroit Bulls game. I just think this Cavs team is just too good, and I know it's in Toronto, and I know Drake is probably like, we hey, that's another show, but
right, we ain't got enough time to cover what happened. We can go ahead and move on towards a rematch of a game that I just brought up. Yep. The Bulls got just destroyed at one point. The Bulls were 0 for 23 from 3. If I'm not mistaken, they were down 42 points at half. That is a Detroit Pistons franchise record for a lead at the half. Now, what's the thing about the NBA? We got back-to-backs. Sometimes we see teams play each other in back-to-back nights. Do you see this Pistons team, maybe not to the shellacking of what they did last night, but do you see them pulling off another win on the road tonight?
Yes, I think they will win this game. Do I think they'll win by the 6 that we see right here on the bottom? No.
Yeah.
I think the Bulls will. I think the Bulls will come back, play a lot better than they did last night because they have pride. Like, these bad teams have pride. People, like, that's not like they're still NBA players. They're not bad players, but at the same time, they're a bad team around. And especially without the Levine trade, it's like kind of like they're still figuring it out. They're a young team. Kobe White. DeSumo, you got Vucevic. They still got talent on the Chicago Bulls team. But this Pistons team, Malik Beasley, Cade Cunningham, which Jaden Ivey comes back. I think they're a sleeper in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I really do like this Pistons team a lot. I don't think they'll win their first round matchup. They'll get in. I just don't know if they'll win their first round matchup because they're probably right now, I think they're like the 7th or 6th spot.
As it currently stands, they are 28 and 26 on the year and 6th in the Eastern Conference. But playoffs, that's a long time away. You still think that they win tonight? Now, do they cover the 6?
No. I think they don't cover the 6. I think the Bulls will cover within 4.
Wow. There's not the. Last night was an anomaly. I do not expect them to jump out to another 42-point, lead at half. Is there a under the radar player like a Jalen Duren who, because we saw Malik Beasley that you brought up came in last night, made 7 threes. We saw him last week, hit 9 threes and was going insane. Do you see a role player or somebody in particular, and it might even be a star like Cade Cunningham, who seems to now be a Mr. Walking triple-double on most nights? Is there a certain player on either side that you would target if you are dabbling into a little bit of daily fantasy?
I like Malik Beasley again. I don't know if he'll hit 7 tonight, but he'll hit at least 3 or 4 threes for you. The Duren play is also another strong play for this Pistons team. Because especially against Vucevic, that's always that's going to be a lot of the people are watching. Yeah.
For someone who dabbled into a little bit of Jalen Duren last night, I was extremely disappointed that they were up a gazillion points. Because when you look at their previous matchups, 15 and 22, and then 20 and 15. Like, he's one of my favorite players to watch on this Pistons team outside of Cade Cunningham. He's just he's a walking 10 and 10, and on his better nights he can be an 18 and 13 kind of guy.
Yep.
Now, to not to spend too much time on rematch, we got a really interesting team. The Milwaukee Bucks, they're going to be without Giannis up until All-Star game, an injury that has left him sidelined and unable to participate in the All-Star festivities and game. They are going up against, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Julius Randle's going to be out. He's out till All-Star. Anthony Edwards is questionable with a hip, but, we saw this Milwaukee Bucks team at home last Sunday essentially beat up on the Sixers. Now, Joel Embiid, they did as much as they could for as long as they could, but
Yep.
the your Bobby Portis players and of that sense, they kind of stepped up a step, showed out. Now, Milwaukee did lose their last game against Golden State, but do you think that they bounce back in this game and win on the road?
If Anthony Edwards is playing, no.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this right now. If Ant-Man suits up,
You want to talk about somebody that's on a heater?
yeah. If Ant-Man suits up, no. I don't think Milwaukee's got a shot because also Lillard's also questionable for Milwaukee too. So let's remember that. And I think they need Lillard, obviously, and they need Ant-Man not to play. I think Minnesota doesn't cover the 8 spread because that 8's just still too much in the NBA.
It's just when you're looking at spreads, 8's just a funky number.
Yep.
Like in basketball, a 12-point win isn't necessarily a blowout,
Yep.
but on any, that's why the games are played on the hard court and not on paper.
Yeah.
I think that this game, I mean, you look at Anthony Edwards' last 3 games that he's played. 49, 9, and 6 made threes.
Yeah.
41, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. And then in his last game, when they got, the doors blew off of him against Cleveland, 44, 6, and 8 made threes. I'm right there with you. If Anthony Edwards plays in this game, you can chalk the 8. In my opinion, you could chalk it up. I would not be surprised if Ant-Man plays, and once again, I think Lillard will play, but even if he doesn't, the spread will be 12.5 by tip-off if Lillard doesn't play.
Yeah.
Do you see any, like a Bobby Portis or somebody off the bench, like a what's his name, like an Andrew Jackson Jr. or somebody like that, playing a key role in the Bucks' chances of winning this game? Or is there anybody else that you like in fantasy, from a fantasy point perspective, that's not like your Lillards or your Ants?
I got Naz Reid from Minnesota is another like he's had since Randall's been out, he's had more production and in his role. I do like the Bobby Portis play. If Bobby can get back to the Sunday against the Sixers kind of game, that'd be a great play. I think Bobby Portis is one of those guys that has opportunity that you can pick him up and make, he can get you that 30 to 40 range, but he can also get you only 10 or 15. So it's a risky play with Bobby Portis. But at the same time, for me, I love the Naz replay with Randall being out, more opportunity, more minutes down the stretch. He can space it out a little bit better than Randall too. So I love the Naz replay. And I think if Edwards plays, lock of the day, Anthony Edwards.
I know you just teased it, but we're going to get to that here in a little bit towards the end of the show. Now, a game that is up, as we have a comment, Jordan doesn't trust the Wolves. Do you not trust the Wolves because Ant-Man is, up and down, or is it more of a Julius Randle thing? Because, Jordan, we love talking to you. We love, shooting the ish, as they say, which I know you're kind of, I don't need to even bring up the Nas is hey, you got to hear first in the chat. Nas is, we got 2 people with the double locks with Nas Reid and Ant. A game that is just this. Can maybe you can explain this better than I. Why are the Kings only 6-point favorites against New Orleans? Can you explain that to me? Because with I thought the Zach LaVine, even though they had to trade De'Aaron Fox, I thought it was a solid, nice pickup.
Yeah,
and you still have Sabonis. DeMar DeRozan is excellent, especially if this game gets close. They have Keegan Murray's a nice piece. Am I seeing this game, any kind of? Am I seeing it? Am I diving a little bit too deep to it, or am I just completely off my rockers here?
Well, I don't think you're off your rockers because I don't know why the Kings are only 6-point favorites right now either. Because when you look at the injury report for the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion questionable as he always is.
As he always is.
As he always is most of the time. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. Me saying that is not a slander. I'm not trying to slander Zion because I love Zion.
Right.
But this is the thing. This Pelicans team has not been the same without DeJounte Murray when he tore his Achilles. Ever since he tore his Achilles, the season, I think, in my mind, was a wash. That's why they traded Ingram to Toronto. Because I think for them it was okay, it's a wash. It's another wash season because we lost DeJounte Murray.
Right.
And I think for me, I think that I could give you a reason, but it's kind of a silly reason.
Hey, we're all here for hot takes and silliness, and
Yeah,
let me hear
yes.
it.
So here's the silly reason. So the Super Bowl was just in New Orleans, right?
Uh-oh.
It was
Say
in
that. Say
the
that's why Zion's questionable because he had too much to eat.
they had to. Well, I'm not saying that's why Zion's questionable. I'm saying that's why the Kings are only 6-point favorites.
What? Uh-huh.
The magic of the Super Bowl, right? The
Yeah.
magic, the aura of having the Super Bowl and having the Kendrick halftime show and everything like that is like the bettors are like, all right, we should. The Pelicans might be jazzed up. One of their first home games since Super Bowl 59.
Yeah.
It might be.
I mean, I could see. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, now we questioned the line. Now we're going to give our prediction on the line. Do you think Pelicans cover the 6 in this game?
No.
Right.
I'm shaking my head. No, no. The Kings
Right.
should cover. The Kings should cover, and I think if you want to do an alternate spread, I think the Kings will get up to 10.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I don't know how it's only 6, especially with Zion, and it's not a injury, it's conditioning for Zion. And once again, we saw Zion be awesome in the limited minutes, that he's been in the games this season. I
Yep.
just think that this Kings team, like, I know they're only one game above 500, but there's just something about this team. I might be a little biased because one of my favorite players, I don't know how you feel about him, Domantas Sabonis. I love watching him play. He does a little bit of everything. Now, from a fantasy perspective, is there a player that you like in this game on either side?
If the New Orleans Pelicans want to cover in this game, I'll give you this one guy who can get hot on any given night. Trey Murphy III. If Trey Murphy gets one of his hot games, the New Orleans Pelicans will make this game interesting. Because he can get hot from 3. For the Kings, I do like the I do like the Levine and Sabonis combo tonight, the flourish. I really do. If you want to spend high, especially for Sabonis, you want to spend high at that power forward and center spot, go get you Sabonis in lineups tonight.
Yeah, I think too a sneaky move. Now I know it's just a betting shot. I think Valanciunas was a good pickup, and I think he will. I think he will provide a lot of size off the bench, especially.
Also, not to interrupt, Valanciunas' revenge game from his time in New Orleans. Slightly.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that. I mean, once again, he's coming off the bench now. It's just it's a with it only being 6. That was the number that shocked me out of everything.
Yep.
Now, due to us being 10 of the 15 games down, we're going to take another pause, and we are going to take a hold on. Before we do, Jordan said, and the Kings lost to Portland, and they always lose to New Orleans in the past. Well, Jordan, I love you, my man, but we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. I think they get away with it a little bit too. They grab the rope, they run with it, and they don't give it back. Now, we're going to take a 30-second break and dive into some station identification and remind everybody where you can check out all of our work, not just me and Brandon's work. We've got some awesome stuff on entertainment, with Captain America coming out in a couple of days. There's a lot of, stuff you can check out on the entertainment, and we will see you guys after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to everyone's favorite betting show. We have Lawson Turner for Total Apex Media and Brandon Ellis. Now, this game, I don't think it should take too long. I don't think it even needs to be played. I think it's one of those. I think it's one of the.
Hero like that. Come on now, and Bam too. Come on now.
Listen. I loved Miami when LeBron was there. I'm a LeBron fan, but this is a. Is the spread? It's funny when you think, is the spread too low for a 14 points spread this game? OKC, just like the Cavs, they've been one of, if not the best teams in the NBA all season long. We know they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's been a borderline MVP candidate the past 3 seasons. Chet coming back a couple games ago. He's looked solid in his limited minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein, they have the dynamic, defensive backcourt of Lou Dort and Alex Caruso when they're in the game. Brandon, do you think that the spread at 14 is too low? Or
No. It's Oklahoma City. No.
Right.
No. Hammer the Thunder. Well, if you want to make crazy prediction and hammer Miami cover, hammer that, hammer the spread for Miami. If you want to make Bulu crazy money, but if you want to lose your money, do that, because the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm glad we're on this game. I know we're not going to talk about it long, but I want to get it out here.
Yeah, get it out.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are my current pick to host the Larry O'Brien in June this year. They're my current pick. They're my current pick. Without Chet Holmgren, they were pretty close to my pick. But Chet Holmgren, in the few games he's played, since he's come back, and he's out tonight because they want to, preserve him, and I get that. I respect that from Dagnall. That was a great decision. Another reason why they're the favorite in my mind. But Chet Holmgren has been productive in his few minutes. He's averaged about 29, 30 fantasy points in the few minutes he's had since he's come back. And that's not to say, too, SGA is still getting his numbers. And that's the thing. You thought with Chet Holmgren coming back, his number, SGA's numbers were going to go down a little bit? No. His MVP tear, he's still on that. He's going to win the MVP by a landslide this year. And I don't want to hear Jokic. I don't want to hear Luka. I don't want to hear LeBron. I don't want to hear Tatum. It's SGA's award. Prove me otherwise. Say Jokic. I want to hear these people and whoever wants to yell for Jokic. Jokic has been phenomenal this year. He has been. But it's SGA's award, and no. But
we done got you revved up. We done got you revved up by SGA. With I'm right there with you. I think this game gets out of hand early. When you look at Miami, Hero's questionable with the illness, Terry Rozier questionable with the illness, Duncan Robinson illness, Jaime Jaquez illness. I don't know if it's the flu going on, or if it's an illness due to it was just this past Super Bowl. I don't know what the case is, but with you got 4 guys being listed as questionable, and they're not they're not scrubs. Tyler Hero is the heartbeat of the Miami offense. Terry Rozier, it's like their whole backcourt, and then Jaime Jaquez, who's a really nice young player. I'm right there with you. I think, and we didn't have to spend as much time probably as we did with this game. However, I think SGA, just like you said, he'll probably win the MVP this year. I don't really see any others jumping him. Unless Boston can catch the Thunder's record, which I don't think so. I think they've already stacked up enough losses, and I think OKC's on a mission this year. Is there a player from a fantasy perspective? Now, this game I think can get out of hand. A sneaky player that you see that's not like a SGA who we know is a walking 30.
I want to say Lou Dort for Oklahoma City and Caruso. Those are the 2 plays, because I could see, like you said, this game getting out of hand. And Oklahoma City benching their starters, at some point. And I think Lou Dort is going to have some meaningful minutes, and Caruso is going to have some more meaningful minutes, because no Cason Wallace tonight. I would have said Cason Wallace, but he's out with shoulder. Hartenstein's also going to have a big night, because I like Bam. Don't get me wrong, but I think Hartenstein likes, playing Miami. As you look back at his Knicks career, he's had good numbers against the Heat, and I think he'll have another good game against the Heat tonight in the OKC uniform.
Yeah. Now, on to a game that the Suns, they play Memphis last night at home, and we saw KD hit what was it, 30,000?
Yeah, he passed the 30,000 mark last night.
30. I think he had 32 in the game, and he was 26 short. It was a before we tap into the game. It was a great showing by Ja when he was dribbling out the clock to hand the ball to KD afterwards, because and KD and Ja even said that KD told him that I don't really care about it. So I just want to tip my cap to KD and kind of acknowledge that not a lot of people hit the 30K mark, and when you do, you hit a legendary mark.
Yep.
Like I said, not everybody hits the 30,000 mark, and we've seen KD have an illustrious career. Now, to get into the game, with the Suns being underdogs by almost a full 10, I mean, I think that, Booker out with a back, Bradley Beal out with a toe. It's really
Yep.
just going to be Durant and friends. Now, not to say that Houston is, without injury, because, Fred VanVleet out, Sengun is back, out, not out, he's questionable with a back, I should say.
Mhm.
How do you see this game going, since considering that the Suns just played last night?
I think the road travel, with them playing last night, the road travel to Houston will give them problems tonight. I think Houston does win this game. I don't know if they cover. That's the interesting about covers like this at 9, even though it's 9, like we've been talking about. It's one of those like tricky covers for Houston, because even though like you said, like we've been pointing out, that Booker's out, Beal's out, like the Suns don't have anything other than really anything other than KD. But that's the thing. Houston's got their issues with like potentially not having Sengun. And Sengun, if he's out, that line's going to move towards the Suns, like a little bit towards the Suns a little bit more. So,
Right.
so I think Houston still wins this game, even without if Sengun doesn't play. I just like this Houston team, how they looked all season with and the rise of Thompson, the rise of Jalen Green, the rise of Van Vliet in the backcourt. With Udoka's system, like I like this Houston team a lot. I think they win this game. I say by 6. I'm going to go by Houston by 6 in this game.
You kind of tiptoed across the line, but you weren't just weren't ready to to go full on. I, on the other hand, give me Houston. They're going to beat the brakes off the Suns. The Suns, they're a older-ish team, with KD and Bradley Beal's out, and then when you add the Booker factor, he's excellent. He's a really fun player to watch, and with him being out in this game, I think that's really what does it. If Booker was playing, I say, oh, give me the Suns and the points. It's going to be a lot closer of a game. But this young, athletic team, it's built for regular seasons. We've seen young, athletic teams destroy in the regular season.
Yeah.
And last time I checked my phone, it's still the regular season. So I think that that's a great point, that I think Houston wins this game. And I know you said Suns cover with a 6-point loss, but give me Houston all the way. Is there a spot in which no Booker, no Bradley Beal? Do you see any value in like a Tyus Jones when it comes to fantasy, or like a Grayson Allen, or we saw Bobo in the starting lineup last night?
Yeah. So I think for me, Grayson Allen's going to be the guy here to carry with Durant. I think Tyus Jones also gets good production, fantasy production wise. I don't think he'll. Oh, what's up?
I'm a goober. Grayson Allen is out tonight with a knee injury. So
but then Tyus
scratch
Jones.
that. Scratch. But you know what? It's funny. So we're leaving it in there.
Tyus Jones. We'll go with Tyus Jones then. I was going to say, if Grayson Allen, I was looking at it now, he's out.
Knee injury,
So that's also, and more lines to your point that Houston's going to break the brakes off.
Right.
Probably. Because I thought Grayson Allen was still going to had a shot to play, but I guess not. For Houston, I think Ahmed Thompson is going to be the shining bright star in this game fantasy wise, especially if Sengun's not playing. I think Ahmed Thompson and Jalen Green will probably be the focal point of the offense and the production. Dylan Brooks can also have a solid night fantasy wise with the defense and stuff, and especially if and I think he will be on KD most of the night. Look for that matchup to get a little dicey, a little spicy too. So it should be an interesting ball game. But like you said, if Grayson Allen's out now, that's also another reason for your point that the Rockets will cover the 9. I still think Rockets by 6, but we'll see what happens tonight.
Dicey and spicy. That was I'll give it to you. It was nice. Now, one of the this will be a really fun matchup. Now, with the line being 10.5, Portland, they've been crazy hot.
Yeah.
They've been crazy hot all season long. Now, we did just see these two teams play in their last game, and the Nuggets they took the belt off and took them out back, and they beat them up. They beat them up 146 to 117. Now, DeAndre Ayton was in foul trouble and other things of that nature. How do you think this game, how do you think this game goes? Now, DeAndre Ayton is out with that leg injury, and Westbrook is out with that hamstring injury for Denver. But do you think those injuries don't matter?
I think
in this game.
No. I don't think. Here's why: Portland going to altitude, right? Teams have always had trouble, at least around this time, playing Denver in the altitude in February. Like that's the thing. I think Jokic would have feast if Ayton was in this game anyway.
Right.
I think Jokic was going to get his anyway, and I think Denver was going to win this by 11 or 12 anyway. Without Westbrook, especially without Westbrook, I think that it could get that 10 within the 10.5, but I still think Denver will win this game because Denver is one of those teams that needs momentum heading into this All-Star weekend because they didn't really do anything at the deadline once again.
Right.
To prove their team, they didn't do anything well. We saw the Lakers get better with Luka Doncic. We saw Dallas with the Anthony Davis deal. We saw the Kings, the Spurs. We saw all these teams in the Western Conference get marginally better, right? While Denver just stayed packed, even though they're like the 3rd, 4th seed right now in the Western Conference, they're in a great spot. They don't really need to make the move. But, it's just one of those things, man. I'll let you point that out in a second.
I wanted to shout out Ben Wetmiller. He's one of my boys. Also, I don't know if you see that team right there. Another Steelers fan. I just want to kind of sneak that in there real quick. With this being 10.5, I think that they took the belt off and beat them up last game in altitude. Just how you were saying, teams have always struggled in altitude in Denver, whether it be going to like Denver Broncos at Mile High. I'm right there with you. I think that Denver covers this game. With DeAndre Ayton being out, do you see Donovan Clingan having like a solid night fantasy wise?
Yeah, I do. I like Donovan Clingan a lot. I liked him at UConn. I watched those UConn teams the last couple of years, and Donovan Clingan was one of those guys I watched. I was like, he's going to be a good NBA player, a good defensive guy, a good solid role player for a team. And I think Portland's going to use him a lot tonight to be that guy on Jokic and also help out on the pick and roll with Murray. So I like Donovan Clingan in this game. I also like Simons in this game. I also like Michael Porter Jr. is playing now.
It seems like you just liking everybody.
This game is going to be.
I get you. Yeah.
I think this game is like the other game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think Denver's going to be in a high scoring kind of mood because they want to showcase themselves out at home. One last game at home before they go to All-Star Weekend out to like some of them go out to San Francisco, some of them stay in Denver to have their break. They want to show out to the fans like, hey, we're still here. Denver's still here. So this is one of those situations, man. I do like this is the thing. That's the thing. This is one of those games for me. The defenses won't matter that much because I think it's gonna be like kind of one of those like possession,
high scoring, running and gunning kind of games. We always see now NBA is also sometimes known for a National Blowout Association due to some games being lopsided. I think Denver covers the 10.5 here. Let's dive into not everyone's new favorite team, but the team that made one of the more shocking moves in acquiring Luka Doncic. I thought he was fine. I thought he was fine in his debut. Only scored 14 points. He played sub 30 minutes. Luka's gonna be just fine, and he's playing tonight in Utah. In my opinion, I'm going to toss the baton to you, and then when you're done, I'll go all 10 toes. So let me hear it.
So I got the Lakers covering. For me, it's that simple. The Lakers cover. LeBron James, Luka Doncic both show out tonight. In a big spot. I think Reeves also has a great game too. Keep an eye on Austin Reeves tonight. And for me as well, the Jazz are in a difficult spot here because this is like I was saying with altitude, Jazz is normally a decent home crowd altitude wise for me as well. But right. I think LeBron James and Luka Doncic is just too much for this Jazz team. I like this Jazz team. Don't get me wrong. They're a young team. I like Lauri Markkanen.
They got some nice pieces.
They got some nice pieces around him. But the fact that Keontae George has also been in and out of the lineup the last couple of games, I just don't think they have enough firepower to deal with Luka Doncic and LeBron James in this game tonight.
Yeah, especially with Colin Sexton being out with that ankle injury that has had him sidelined for, I want to say, almost a week and a half now. Yep. I'm right there with you. I think especially with the Lakers over the past, 12, 13 games, they've been the number one defense in basketball. They've statistically via defensive rating. This is a team that when you go out and get the superstar that Luka is, you just saw LeBron in the first game just look so engaged. And you even saw, I'm sure you saw the clip of the pregame of them saying, Luka, don't fit in, be yourself. Fit the blank out, Yep. I just have if there was a vibes meter, all positive vibes from the Lakers.
Yeah.
I know Dalton Connect still, he told JJ that he's going to need some time after dealing with everything, which I 100% I agree. I would need some time too. I'd feel a certain way. I just think we saw them beat up on this Jazz team the other night. Mm-hmm. Now it's in Utah. I think they're going to do the exact same thing and just beat up on them again. They might not win by the 19 that they did the other night, but I think they covered the 9 pretty convincingly. Is there anyone from a fantasy perspective, whether it be like an Austin Reeves who's been awesome as of late? Gabe Vincent is out. Could we see another Austin Reeves explosion, because he is probable with that elbow injury?
Yeah, I like I was saying earlier, I think Austin Reeves does have that explosion tonight. Mm-hmm. Also, this is sneaky. Okay, this is bold. If they blow him out, and I think I see that. I know that this is.
I think I got an idea as to what you're going, but let's.
I think Bronny James. If they blow him out, now this is only if they blow him out, because that's the only time he'll be on the court.
Right.
But if they blow him out, I think Bronny James has a decent 5-minute stretch in this game. I'm not saying he's going to go off in fantasy. So don't play him in DFS lineups. Don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. Just please don't do it. Don't take this as fully play like DFS. I think Bronny James proves in a few minute stretch, if they blow him out, that he's worthy of that second round pick.
Yeah, I think I was pro Bronny James when they drafted him. I've been pro Bronny James. Try saying that 3 times fast. Now let's dive into. We got 2 more games. We have the Memphis Grizzlies, who just played last night in Phoenix, going to LA into it, being 4.5 point dogs on the road. How do you see this game playing out? Do we see a Ja Morant explosion in this game?
Yeah, that's the funny part about this Memphis team, because you never know what you're going to. It's like a lot of these teams, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
I see the Jaren Jackson game more so than the Ja game. I think the Ja game was last night. I think this game is going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. Mm-hmm. I think Ja might want to take a little bit of a step back tonight as he gets ready, for the All-Star break. And I think Jaren Jackson has an opportunity with, I know we love Zubac on this channel. We've raved
awesome, Big Zoo.
We love some Zubac, and I've been raving about the wall, in LA. I've been into it though. I've been raving about that thing because ever since I saw opening night and what they were doing with it, Ballmer has made something great with that wall, and I think other NBA teams should adapt it. I just don't know how they're going to adapt it, bringing that college feel back into the NBA.
Right.
But that being said, I think Memphis does cover here with a nice Jaren Jackson game, but the Clippers still pull out the dub.
Wow, with the spread being 4.5, and you say the dog covers, that'd be wild. But I'm right there with you. I think the Intuit Dome is awesome. I'm excited for this game. Now we got one game left, And I know you were ready and you wanted it to be last because you got some stuff to get off your chest about this game.
Yes, I do.
Golden State is traveling to Dallas to take on the Dallas Mavericks. The tip off is at 9:30, and Golden State is favored by 6.5 in this game. But since you wanted it, you got it. You got the floor, my man.
Let's get it. So, first things first, the 6.5 is too low. Too low of a spread for me to justify it. I think the Warriors cover that 6.5, and we see the Dallas Maverick fans lose their minds on Nico Harrison in this game. This is the first big game, nationally televised game since the Luka Doncic trade that the Dallas Mavericks have had in the American Airlines Center at home in Dallas, Texas, right? This is the first big game, and they've been talking about it all day today, and they were talking about it on NBA Today right before we got on this show. And I was like, okay, that watching that today, I'm gonna get on here and I'm gonna say my piece. The Dallas Mavericks gonna lose this game in a big way. Jimmy Butler will have a big game. Steph Curry will have a big game tonight, and they will see why they should not have done the impulsive move of getting Anthony Davis, where you had him for the one game at home. You know, you had him. You had him for the
2.5 quarters.
For 2.5 quarters, and he's already out past All-Star break because he had this trade. So, and it's good news. Like McMahon reported it's no surgeries needed. Sean's reported no surgeries needed on the AD injury, which was good news to Dallas. And I still think this Dallas Mavericks team is a good team.
Right.
But I think tonight we're going to see the backlash of all backlashes, especially with Steph Curry going in there and having another Steph Curry-like game, and Jimmy Butler having having a revert, I can't talk, but
I get you, yeah.
Yeah, the rejuvenated, himself, he's rejuvenated, he's ready to go, he's motivated to play well. I think the Warriors make a statement tonight, and they win this game by 10. And we see Dallas fans lose their minds tonight. I see a lot of booing happening in this game. Where are you at?
A lot of booing indeed. I think Golden State goes into American Airlines and wins this game. I mean, no Daniel Gafford, no AD, no Derek Lively.
So all your bigs that you wanted defensively wise, Nico Harrison, out. Just say out. And you still got PJ Washington, who's in and out of the lineup right now too. I'm sorry for interrupting, Lawson, but
I get you. When you get so amped up, sometimes you just gotta let it out with and even with PJ Washington being questionable with that ankle injury that has kept him in and out, and with the birth of their child that also kept him in and out of the lineup. I'm right there with you. Golden State wins this game. Now, Golden State's not a big team to take advantage of the lack of size, but I don't think it'll matter. I'm right there with you. I think Jimmy Butler has, and he had a really nice game the other night. I think Jimmy has another good game. I see a Steph explosion right there with you. Now, with that being last game, everyone's favorite segment, lock of the day. Give me a player, a team, a 3-leg parlay. Give me what this is your must hammer play tonight.
If Anthony Edwards plays, I teased it earlier. Anthony Edwards plays. I have to say if, because the questionable mark, you never know which way it's going to go.
Right.
But if he plays, hammer Anthony Edwards in your DFS lineups, and also hammer the point, a points, bet of over 30 points. Hammer that on a parlay with whatever you want to do.
Whatever his points are over, doesn't matter. Just Anthony Edwards over.
Yeah.
For my lock of the day, I mean, it's kind of hard to say Lakers don't destroy Utah, but if we're gonna go with a player, sneaky player in a sneaky spot, I like D'Angelo Russell tonight. It's a sneaky matchup against a injury riddled team. I don't know. There's something there. He plays so free, almost like LaMelo Ball to an extent where it's NBA Street, and he just goes out there, and you don't know what you're going to get from a possession to possession, basis on the court. Now, to sign off, I'm Lawson Turner for Total Apex Media. You be sure to check us out once again. We're not just Total Apex Sports. We're Total Apex Media. What does that mean? We got stuff on living. We got stuff on entertainment. We're always going to have our sports and sports betting websites. Be sure to check all the stuff out for the Total Apex family. For Brandon Ellis, I'm Lawson Turner. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and making us part of your game. And now we'll talk to. Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Nick. You're a lord in that. I'm super excited for we got All-Star Weekend this week. I'm super excited for it. Any last words, Brandon?
I think this slate tonight is going to be one of the most fun. I think a lot of unpredictable things are going to happen tonight. We could go
another hour, but
we could go another hour. But this slate
right.
is going to have a lot of fun, a lot of storylines heading into All-Star Weekend that a lot of people are going to be talking about. It's post Super Bowl season. Baseball's around the corner, but the NBA is about to get in the full swing of things.
Mm-hmm.
So Total Apex Media is the place to be. So.
Right, and once again, Raja Sports. We got entertainment. If you're a movie watcher, we got stuff for you there. If you're a gamer, we got Total Apex Gaming. I'm super excited for all the stuff coming up. But once again, for the Total Apex Media family, for Brandon Ellis, my name is Lawson Turner, and I will talk to you guys in the next show. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.
Go Birds.